Hi, you are welcome to English Lessons Online. In this lesson, we shall be discussing the following: debate writing, article writing, and speech writing. Let's get right into the lesson. Debate writing. What is debate writing? Debate writing is the presentation of your arguments for or against a given topic with the aim of persuading your audience to agree with your own point of view. When you debate, you take a stand and give reasons to support the stand, so that your opinions or views are upheld than other views expressed by your opponents. Just like any other type of essay, debate writing has its own features. Below are the features of debate: title, introduction, body, and conclusion. Let us discuss each of these features in detail. Title. When writing a debate, the title is optional. This implies that the candidate will not be penalized for omitting the title. But if a student chooses to write the title, he or she must indicate the speaker, the occasion, the place, and the date on which the debate is taking place in no particular order. Take note: when you decide to write the title, indicate the speaker, the occasion, the place, and the date on which the debate is taking place in no particular order. Below is an example of a title for a debate. A school debate by Joe Mensah at the Tamale Senior High School Assembly Hall on 13th July 2022. As we can see in this title, we have the occasion, which is a school debate, the speaker, Joe Mensah, the venue, a Tamale Senior High School Assembly Hall, and the date, 13 July 2022. The title is usually written in block capitals and underlined. Introduction. The introduction is the first paragraph of the debate. When writing the introduction, address the audience, declare your stand on the given topic, and give a definition of the key word in your topic and a thesis statement. Now we are going to discuss each of these 3 points in detail. Address of vocatives or audience. The introduction begins with the address of vocatives or audience. The audience must be acknowledged for their presence and anticipated cooperation with the speaker. Here is an example of the address of vocatives: Mr. Chairman, panel of judges, invited guests, co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen. Please let us take note of some few things in the address. The first letters of each principal word in the address must be capitalized. The address should be based on the type of audience present and the kind of occasion being held. This means that the address could change based on the type of audience present and the kind of occasion being held. The address of vocatives is followed by a comma. Also, when addressing the audience, the address must begin from the highest personality to the lowest, and it usually begins with Mr. Chairman or Madam Chair and ends with ladies and gentlemen. Declare your stand. After addressing the vocatives, you have to declare your stand on the motion. Quote the motion or topic and declare whether you support or oppose the motion. For example, I stand in support of the motion that students should not play politics. This is how you should write when you choose to support the motion. Or, I stand to oppose the motion that students should not play politics. This is when you choose to write against the motion. After declaring your stand, define your topic and give a thesis statement. A thesis statement is a sentence that sums up the central point of your debate. The thesis statement should clearly indicate that you are writing for or against the motion. This is a past question. Let's see how we can write an introduction for this question. This is Wassce November 2016, question 4. You are the main speaker in a debate on the topic, brain drain has undermined the development of most African countries. Write your argument for or against the motion. So when you are given a topic, take your time to analyze the topic and know which side you would be able to provide more points. So if you can provide more points for the motion, then you choose to write for the motion. If you can also provide more points against the motion, then you decide to write against the motion. Now let us proceed to write an introduction for this question. Here is an example of an introduction for the question we just read. Mr. Chairman, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I stand in firm support of the motion, brain drain has undermined the development of most African countries. Brain drain refers to the migration of highly skilled professionals from most developing African countries to developed countries. It is obvious that brain drain is a loss for most African countries like Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, and so forth. Please take note, this is just to guide us on how to write an introduction. We began our introduction by addressing the vocatives, and then we declared our stand. We went ahead to define brain drain, and then we ended our introduction with a thesis statement. This is how to write an introduction for a debate. The body. When writing the body of a debate, you need to speak for both sides. Irrespective of your stand, you need to speak for both sides. However, you need to emphasize on your stand. Write about the side you don't support first. After that, condemn it strongly with your own side. Write about the side you don't support first. After that, condemn it strongly with your own side. You could also choose to do it the other way around. You could choose to write about the side you support first and then later write about the side you do not support. So if you choose to write about the side you support first, then in your first 3 paragraphs, state 3 arguments that your opponents are likely to use in arguing against you. After stating these arguments, spend much time in subsequent paragraphs to refute your opponent's views strongly by presenting your own points. Remember that debate is a contest of ideas to win the minds of your audience. The only way to win such a contest is to present cogent and convincing points in support of your position. Each point should be used to develop a paragraph, and each paragraph should cover a different idea and contain a topic sentence that clearly explains why the audience should agree with your point of view. It is important to back your points with examples, facts, and illustrations. You could also use rhetorical questions to strengthen your arguments. Address the chairman or chairperson and panel of judges from time to time, especially when advancing strong arguments. There is no room for slangs in debate. Please do not use slangs when writing a debate. Make use of transitional markers, such as to begin with, however, nevertheless, nonetheless, in addition, etc. Now, let us look at the conclusion. To conclude your debate, address your audience again and call on them to support your side of the motion. And then end your debate with "thank you." So this is basically where you re-emphasize your stand and ask your audience to support your stand. Let us take an example of a conclusion. So we are going to use this question as well to write our conclusion. You are the main speaker in a debate on the topic "Brain drain has undermined the development of most African countries." Write your argument for or against the motion. Remember, in our introduction, we wrote for the motion. So in our conclusion, we are also going to write for the motion. An example of the conclusion: Mr. Chairman, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is for these reasons I call on you to support the motion "Brain drain has undermined the development of most African countries." Thank you. Article writing. Candidates are often required to write articles for publication. Please, before we discuss what an article is, we must be careful not to write a letter to the editor when an article is requested for. We must be careful not to write a letter to the editor when an article is requested for. An article for publication is not the same as a letter to the editor. Therefore, the format for writing letters is not used in article writing. A letter to the editor will always contain the phrase "write a letter to the editor." What is an article? An article is a piece of writing that addresses a particular issue or topic. An article is a piece of writing that addresses a particular issue or topic. An article is written specifically for publication in a newspaper or a magazine. For example, someone who is not happy with unemployment in the country may write an article to be published in a national newspaper. Kinds of articles. At the Wassce level, candidates are often required to write articles for publication in either school magazines, national newspapers, or international newspapers or magazines. School magazines. Candidates may be expected to write articles for publication in their school magazine. The audience for this type of article is restricted to the school community. The usual jokes of students and school jargons or slang can be used here. This implies that when writing an article for publication in a school magazine, informal language could be used. National newspaper. In this case, the whole nation is the audience. Expressions which are common to the nation but are not known in standard British English can be used. When writing an article for publication in the national newspaper, the language used should be formal. International newspaper. Here, the readership extends beyond the borders of the nation. The language must therefore be standard English. When writing articles for international newspapers, the candidate must use formal language. Features of an article. Just like any type of essay, articles also have their own features or formats. So below are the features of the article. We have title, body. Under the body, we have introductory paragraph, main message, and conclusion. Then we have the name and identification of the writer. Name and identification of the writer. So we are going to look at these features one after the other. Title. Every article must begin with a title. The title is very important when writing an article. So the candidate must make sure that the article begins with a title. The title should be brief, relevant to the question, and well capitalized. The title must contain the subject matter. There are cases whereby you will be given the title in the question. For instance, you may be asked to write an article for publication in the national newspaper on the topic "How to Maintain Discipline in School." So in this case, you have been given the topic already, but there are instances where you have to write the topic based on the question. The title is not given to you, but you have to write your own title based on the question that is given. We are going to use this question to guide us on how to write a title. This is a past questions, November 2005. You are unhappy about the insanitary conditions in your area. Write an article suitable for publication in a national newspaper in which you explain the causes and suggest ways of improving sanitation. Let's see how we can write a topic or a title for this particular question. Please look at the question again. You are unhappy about the insanitary conditions in your area. Write an article suitable for publication in a national newspaper in which you explain the causes and suggest ways of improving sanitation. Can you guess the title for this question? Alright. Title: Insanitary Conditions in My Area. Please, there are two ways by which you could write the title, as shown in the examples below. You could write your title in block capitals without underlining them, or you could choose to capitalize the first letters of principal words in your title. So in our first example, insanitary conditions in my area, the title is written in block capitals and not underlined. In our second example, only the first letters of principal words are capitalized and the topic is underlined. So insanitary begins with a capital letter, conditions begin with a capital letter, mine begins with a capital letter, area begins with a capital letter. So in is just a preposition, so usually those ones are not written in capital. These are the two ways by which a candidate could write his or her title. So when we look at the title in relation to the question, we can see that this title is relevant to the question and it is very brief. So this is how you could write your title for an article. The next feature of the article is body. The body is made up of introductory paragraph, main message, and conclusion. Introductory paragraph. The introduction is the first paragraph in the article. This is where you attract the attention of the reader. You may start with the definition of the main subject, an attention-catching statement, quotation, etc. In this paragraph, the reader must be able to know what the article is about. The introductory paragraph should attract the attention of the reader. So let us look at an example. So we are going to use the same question to guide us on how to write the introductory paragraph. You are unhappy about the insanitary conditions in your area. Write an article suitable for publication in a national newspaper in which you explain the causes and suggest ways of improving sanitation. So this is an example of an introductory paragraph, which is paragraph 1. That is for the question we just read. The prevailing insanitary conditions in Tono pose serious threat to the health of residents of the locality. There is a foul smell everywhere in the atmosphere. Heaps of garbage are lying at the wrong places in the community. These insanitary conditions are eyesore for visitors and residents of Tono. This is an example of an introduction. So when we look at this introduction, we have our topic sentence, which is the first sentence. That is, the prevailing insanitary conditions in Tono pose serious threat to the health of residents of the locality. Our topic sentence is the type that catches the attention of the reader. Then we have other supporting sentences. Now we come to the message. This is where you present the full detail of your article in as many paragraphs as possible as you can. Each paragraph addressing a major issue in the topic you are writing about. You should have at least 3 paragraphs and make use of topic sentence in each paragraph. So we are still going to use this question to guide us on how to write the message. You are unhappy about the insanitary conditions in your area. Write an article suitable for publication in a national newspaper in which you explain the causes and suggest ways of improving sanitation. This question requires the candidate to write on the causes of insanitary conditions in his or her area and also suggest ways of improving sanitation. Let's see how we can write the message for this question. So remember, we already have an introductory paragraph, which is paragraph 1. So this is going to be our paragraph 2 for the article. You should have a topic sentence in each of the paragraphs, and each paragraph should address a main issue. So in this case, we are talking about causes. So each paragraph should address one cause of insanitary conditions. So let's take a look at this paragraph. One of the causes of insanitary conditions in the Tono area is inadequate places of convenience. Most houses have none, and those who have do not maintain them. As a result of the inadequate places of convenience, residents do defecate in the open. Some houses also have their sewer lines running into open drains, thereby posing a health hazard. It is very sad to see people throwing fecal matter into open drains and gutters. As a result, the drains are clogged and have become breeding place for flies and mosquitoes. So we began this paragraph with our topic sentence, which is, one of the causes of insanitary conditions in the Tono area is inadequate places of convenience. When we look at this paragraph, we can see that it is addressing a particular issue in the topic, and the issue it is discussing is inadequate places of convenience. So this is the key idea in this paragraph. The rest of the sentences in the paragraph are simply supporting the topic sentence. So this is a way by which we can write our second paragraph for this type of question. Paragraph 3 is supposed to address another cause of insanitary conditions. Let's take a look at this paragraph. Another cause of insanitary conditions in Tono is poor disposal of garbage. There is no final disposal site in Tono. The common disposal site is a landfill site, but when the pit gets full, it becomes difficult to find another landfill site. Residents therefore resort to indiscriminate disposal of garbage. For instance, residents bring out refuse from their houses and dump it in the open gutters. Our topic sentence is our first sentence. Another cause of insanitary conditions in Tono is poor disposal of garbage. So whatsoever sentence that comes after the topic sentence simply supports it. In order not to make this video very long, we will leave only the 2 causes, but when you are writing for exams, you can choose to give 3 courses. So now let's proceed to the solution. So we'll be giving only one solution in order not to make the video too long. So this is a solution, that is our paragraph 4. Sanitation in Tono can be improved if government increases the number of public places of convenience. So in this paragraph we are suggesting a solution, and this is the solution. Sanitation in Tono can be improved if government increases the number of public places of convenience. This could help in reducing dumping of fecal matters in open drains as well as open defecation in the area. So this is how you could write your solution. This is just an example to guide you. There are cases where you could be asked to give effects as well. So in that case, you divide your paragraphs into the causes, the effects, and the solutions. But here we've given only the causes and the solution. The next feature of the article is the conclusion. The conclusion is the last paragraph of the article. The conclusion must summarize the article. In your conclusion, do not add any new point that you've not talked about in your message. So the conclusion is basically the summary of what you've written in the message. So you remember our question that we've been looking at. We are also going to use that as a guide for us to write the conclusion. So you could write your conclusion this way. In conclusion, both the government and the individual members of the community must act together to improve sanitation in the Tono community. Your conclusion shouldn't be so long. You could just make it short because it's simply a summary of what you've already written. So this is an example of how you could write your conclusion for a question like the one we are looking at. The last feature of the article is your full name and identification. The full name and identification of the writer. This comes below the conclusion at the right-hand side. So usually, your identification, you could use your location. For example, if you are writing for a national newspaper, if you are writing for a school magazine, you could use your class, or you could use your position in the school. So it depends on the type of article you are writing. This is an example of how to write your name and identification. So we have Jacob Phillips, then we have the location Tono. Please, you could also add the region. Add your region to the identification. That is part of your location. If you are writing a national newspaper, you add the region. If you are writing an international newspaper, then you can add your region and then your country. So these are some of the ways by which you could write your name and your identification. This is basically how to write an article in Wassce. Speech writing. Speech writing is an essential part of the Wassce English language paper. We shall begin this lesson by looking at what a speech is. A speech is simply a formal address or discourse that a person gives to an audience. The purpose of a speech is determined by the type of occasion being held. Thus, different occasions call for different speeches. Here are some examples of occasions that students may be asked to write speeches. A school's prize-giving day, a farewell party, homecoming of Old Students Association. Now let us look at the features of speech writing. Though we have informal and formal speech, the Wassce English language paper generally often requires students to write a formal speech. Therefore, the language used should be formal. However, if the speech is to be delivered to students, then the contracted forms of the verb can be used. These are the formal features of speech writing: title, opening greetings, introduction, body, and conclusion. Now let's discuss each of these features in detail. Title. The title usually indicates the speaker, the occasion on which the speech is being made, as well as the place and date on which the speech was made. So the title basically includes the name of the speaker, the occasion or topic, place, and date, in no particular order. This is a past question, that is Wassce June 2013, on speech writing. As a senior prefect of your school, write the speech you would deliver to first-year students on how to manage their time. Let us write a title for this question. Speech delivered by the senior prefect, Master John Mensah, at the Assembly Hall to first-year students on time management on August 21, 2022. In this title, we can see the name of the writer or the speaker, which is Master John Mensah. The venue is the Assembly Hall, and the speech was delivered to first-year students on the topic time management. The date is August 21, 2022. This is an example of a title. The next thing after the title is opening address or address of vocatives. Opening address or address of vocatives. A speech usually begins with an address of those present, that is, the audience. The audience is usually addressed in order of their importance. That is, the address begins from the highest personality to the lowest. When giving the address, show your appreciation for the opportunity given to you to speak and mention the topic you are to speak on. The address for formal speeches begins with Mr. Chairman or Madam Chairperson and ends with ladies and gentlemen. Please take note, the address of vocatives is dependent on the occasion and the people present. Let's take a look at the question again and see how we can write our opening greetings. As a senior prefect of your school, write the speech you would deliver to first-year students on how to manage their time. Here is an example of an opening greeting for the question we just read. Mr. Chairman, Headmaster and staff members, invited guests, fellow prefects, students, ladies and gentlemen, I feel greatly honored to be given the opportunity to speak to our first-year students who have just joined us on how to manage their time. Let us take note of some few things in the opening address. The address of each personality begins with a capital letter. So make sure you capitalize the first letters of each word in the address. After ladies and gentlemen, place a comma and then go ahead and show your appreciation for the opportunity given to you to speak. This is an example of opening greetings. Introduction. The introduction comes immediately after the opening greetings. In the introduction, present the subject matter. Define or explain the topic. You may give quotation or proverb which is relevant to the topic. Then state the purpose of the speech. These are basically some of the things that go into the introduction. This is an example of an introduction for the question we just read. Time management is the effective utilization of the available time an individual has in order to get more work done. My dear first-year students, you will agree with me that for the few weeks you've spent in this school, almost every activity which takes place in the school has a specified time allotted for it, be it class lessons, dining, assembly, entertainment, etc. It is therefore obvious that as first-year students, you ought to regulate your activities and also manage your time effectively. There is a saying that time and tide waits for no man. I will therefore take this opportunity to guide you as first year students of this school on how to manage your time effectively. In this introduction, we've explained what time management means. We've also given a quotation in relation to time management, and we've stated the purpose of the speech, which is to speak to first year students on how to manage their time. This is basically what goes into the introduction. Now let's look at the body. The body is where you present your main points in detail. Here, make sure you devote a paragraph to each main point. Address the audience from time to time in the course of presenting your points. However, do not address too frequently. These are the things first year students can do in order to manage their time. So what we need to do now is to use a paragraph to talk about each of these points. So each paragraph should address each of these points. So our first paragraph in the body should talk about identify your goals. Then the second paragraph will address create a daily plan. Then the third paragraph will speak about self-discipline. So you need to use these points to form topic sentences and then develop them into paragraphs. Now let us look at the conclusion. In the conclusion, address your audience for the last time. Summarize or re-emphasize what has already been said in the main body. Give suggestions or advice. Speeches usually end with thank you. Now let's take an example of a conclusion for our past question. Mr. Chairman, headmaster and staff members, invited guests, fellow prefects, students, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that what I have said is enough to guide our first year students to manage their time effectively and enable them achieve excellence. Thank you. The conclusion doesn't have to be long. You just need to summarize what you have already written and end it with thank you. So, this is basically how to write a speech. So remember we said a speech should have a title, opening greetings, introduction, main body, and conclusion, and it should always end with thank you. Please take note, when writing a speech in Wassce or Wassce, candidates are not penalized when they do not write the title. And do not end your speech with I am done. Make sure you end it with thank you. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. See you in our next lesson. Bye.